This Red Book Show on Wexford New People's Movement Radio. We are back and we are joined in the studio by young Rory from Persons Unknown.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Hello.
So that's Shane Hurley here filling in for Wally O'Neill, Steve Ukini and young Rory. So we're going to talk a little bit about reading habits, and we got a text in with a man with a similar name to yourself.
Similar name to myself.
Definitely not you. Anyway.
It wasn't me because there's two Y's and there's only one Y in my name.
So there you go. That's resolved. We're going to talk about reading habits. So lads, I literally, this was just a happy coincidence yesterday. Okay, I have had a kind of a relationship with reading my whole life where I go mad about reading. Like I read and I get really into it. Okay. Novels, I tend to read weird fiction, if that makes sense, like Chuck Palahniuk, Irvine Welsh, Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
There's a big resurgence and that kind of stuff nowadays as well.
It'll always be
modern readers,
cult,
I think.
yeah, I think so. So the weird is definitely more acceptable now. But getting back, I had a book there. Start from the start, Shane. I wanted to stop watching videos at nighttime, okay? So I would put a video on when I'm going to sleep and have it on there in the background, but I'm not reading, okay? So I kind of identified an issue that I wanted to work on, and then Steve, when Wally asked me to come onto the radio show, I said, what a good idea. And I call this segment Radio Gamification.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's gamify this thing. So
All
I
right.
know that it's not an unheard of issue that people kind of want to be reading, or they're not reading as much as they want to. Okay, so I am putting the challenge on myself, Steve.
All right.
Rory, to read every night, as I did last night. I actually read a good bit last night of the Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Danton Wilson. I read about 42 fairly heavy pages. Actually, do you know what? Where's my phone? Oh, it's right. It's recording. I saved a screenshot of the plot synopsis, but it's just the wildest plot you will ever hear. But that's besides the point. So yeah, so I am setting a challenge on myself, okay, to read every night instead of watching videos, and see if that habit can get back.
Yeah, is it working yet?
So it was only last night I started, but
alright.
I can tell you this, here was my day yesterday. So I went to the skate park yesterday. Monday is my day off, okay? So I went to the skate park and I brought the book with me. My head was a bit wrecked, to be completely honest with you. And you know when you're sitting down to read and you're just reading words and nothing's going in?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I was turning pages and I was like, hang on, I need to go back 2 pages. I have not taken any of this in. So that's how it started yesterday. But later in the evening then, I think Miss Nerd Up was doing stuff and I just started reading again. And it started off the exact same way, Steve, but after a few pages something clicked and I started getting to this rhythm.
Your muscle came back.
You have to kind of push through the first few minutes of that, and then eventually, if you really need to go back. That's what I've learned.
So it wasn't just a few minutes, it was the disheartening thing. It was a few hours, lads, honestly. It was nearly like 2 hours, right? But I did, and the next thing I realised, it was like I was flying through pages, if you know what I mean. Just reading it straight down. It was I suppose like a muscle, like, you know, if you were reading out loud.
Yeah.
So it was great just to have that, and that was from one day. That was from 2 attempts, 2 solid attempts.
Yeah.
And I got something. I didn't get the full whack, but I definitely got something from getting over that hurdle and being able to intake reading as much, like to fly through the pages there after a while.
You know what's really helped me with my reading habits is actually this show, when Wally and I start reviewing books, because, well, when I was back in university, I read books more seriously and sometimes summarized them myself and everything, but I'm getting back into that now. So now when I read a book, and a lot of times I'm reading the book for the first time, sometimes I'm rereading it, but I say to myself, I not only got to read this book, I got to tell about this book and sit down and write. Like, I usually try to get about 20 different points down about the book, and then I bounce them off Wally when he's here. But that has made me read books, not just, like finishing them,
Yeah.
but finishing them at greater depth.
I guess it's good to have a kind of an accountability with the radio show.
Yeah, this has definitely given me accountability. That's for sure.
We have accountability to our listeners
Yeah,
and
yeah,
to
yeah,
our
that's-
co-hosts.
Yeah,
It's helped me with my show doing little bits of research and even putting myself out there, like getting people to interview and pushing myself and doing things that I might not feel comfortable doing
yeah.
and reaping the rewards.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful thing. This reminds me so much of my journalism days.
This is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I should say to the listeners as well, if anybody's interested in having their own radio show, there's a great opportunity here in County Wexford, in Wexford Town specifically, with New People's Movement Radio. Get in touch with us through email, visit the website wnpr.com and give us an idea for a show you want to talk about. Talk to Uncle T-Bone, Uncle Tony.
Yeah.
So look, this is a two-sided thing. I do want to read more, and I've been out of the habit for about, I don't know, 2 years, lads, honestly, right? The other side of it, Rory, is to use technology less.
Yeah, that's right.
So I resisted the social media thing where people are doom scrolling. I resisted that completely up until about 6 months ago. And I only use social media for work, all right? Or at least that's how it started, right?
Yeah.
And even with working like the year before Nerd Up really took off, and then since the shop opened the first while, I wasn't affected by it, but now it's finally caught me to a degree. Not exactly doom scrolling, but definitely using it as a kind of
The more time you're on there, the happier they are.
yeah.
And the worse it is for you.
Worse it is for you, Steve.
Yeah.
So I am hereby throwing down the gauntlet for myself to read every night, and I'm going to report back 4 weeks time on this.
Oh, that should be fantastic. Yeah.
I want it's again fortuitous that young Rory would be here tonight, because Rory, I remember a while ago
Yes.
there, about 2 months ago, maybe not even.
Yeah, maybe a bit longer than that.
Maybe a
at this
bit
point.
longer. You were in Nerd Up and
I
you
was.
were talking about you were going to do an actual detox, a digital detox.
And I did.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, what
Okay,
happened?
so I remember when you had your PlayStation Cup on, I won.
You did win. You
I
did.
like to brag about that sometimes. But the first prize was a voucher for Nerd Up and for Red Books. And I've always loved physical media, but I wanted to kind of put it to more use. And so when I got the vouchers, I went home and I was watching a video online, as I nearly always did every night at this point. And there was a video essay about I gave up social media and streaming in replace of DVDs and CDs and stuff. And I watched the video and I was like, okay, so now I can do that for free with the likes of Nerd Up and with Red Books having CDs, DVDs, books, and all these things. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this for a month. And the first few days I gave myself a little bit of leeway, and I was still out on Instagram and all this kind of thing, and doom scrolling on TikTok, and then I realized that's the problem, not the streaming. So I completely cut out Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, everything, and I didn't use any digital.
Super.
I didn't use any digital media. I only used physical media. So, well, I with the exception of an iPod, I let myself eventually use an iPod. But I found myself, number one, finishing more movies, finishing more comics. Because at this point, I hadn't got back into novels yet. Like, I'm only, like, the past few weeks been really into books again. But I was so stubborn. I am so stubborn that I did it for a month.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more fun than you'd realise. Like, I found myself walking past shops and hearing a song I liked and walking into the shop and staying for that song and leaving.
Yeah.
You know, I found myself, like, listening to the radio and taping it. Because
That's incredible.
I got, like, a cassette. I got something off you, Shane, actually.
Yeah.
And I had a Walkman for a while that worked, and it didn't work, and it worked, and it didn't work. But, I don't know, when you use it for so long, you realise how little choice you have when you're like listening to an algorithm online telling you should listen to this album, you should listen to this, you should listen to that.
Yeah.
I remember being so impressed by you. Like there's this like 17-year-old, maybe you were 16 at the time, right?
I was 16.
16-year-old kid like who's recognizing this kind of thing with social media and like doing something himself, and you really did go for it.
And it was so fun. Like, I honestly, I'd recommend it to anyone. You try it for a week, like.
Yeah, well, I'm
Like,
going for it, Rory. I'm
It's
inspired
so
by it.
fun. It's like, because you'll also, like, it makes everything more fun. Like, you can go into a charity shop with €1 and leave with a TV show, a movie, and a book that you've been wanting to watch or read.
Yeah.
And you will do it because you paid for that.
Can I ask you, has it had any lasting effect?
It has made, honestly, even outside of it, and this might sound stupid to some people, but it really will improve your willpower. Like, you don't realize how invested.
Doesn't sound stupid at all.
You don't realize how invested in digital media you are until you step away from it.
So are you do you find yourself using social media less since you've done that?
Oh yeah, way less. Like,
Okay.
even now that I allow myself back onto it, I'll still scroll like
A little bit.
I'll still I have, but my screen time has definitely downgraded a lot, and still my main source of like music is CDs, is vinyl. Now I'm finding myself using streaming more, but it's only for movies that I really want to watch. It's not for movies like Netflix is saying you should watch this. So it's just getting back into that. And when I am watching YouTube, I'm watching like video essays and I'm learning. It's just learning kind of how to use it to better your.
I try to really avoid having them choose anything for me.
Exactly.
I choose what I want from them.
I have noticed, like, you know, you've been coming into Red Books and picking up novels and books and things, and it's really great to see. I did this with music before. I stopped listening to streaming because what happened was YouTube was, like, I've YouTube Premium and YouTube Music, right? But they actually had gotten really good over time at picking songs that I liked or I liked being on in the background. But there was a lot that was missing. So about 2 years ago, I started listening to CDs and albums. And it was like, I actually had forgotten the enjoyment you get from getting to know a CD from song one to the last song.
That's right.
Okay? And I was like, and this part of me came back. I was listening to The Disposable Heroes of Hip-Hoppersy, right? There's a throwback, you know, kind of a rap group from like the early 2000s. And The Strokes' new album there before I left the house today. And
10 out of 10 album, would you say?
All right, Rory.
well, back in the olden days, musicians would create an album to tell a story.
They would.
And it was like they would tell us like a story over 8 or 10 songs, and each song was carefully placed in a sequence. And when you got to the end, last song, you had like
the whole story,
feeling of deep satisfaction of you've been on a journey, right? And what they do now is they just dice it up and hand it out in little pieces. It's not the same.
It's like, for like just talking about physical media and stuff. My favorite band, obviously 21 Pilots. They did concept albums. So they started with one called Blurry Face, then they did Trench, then Scaled and Icy, then Clancy, then Breach. So that was 10 years of constant, every song told one long story. And I think it's concept albums and stuff like that when you open a CD, or when you say, I remember the day Breach came out, which was going to be the end of the story. I went down. I was literally waiting outside Golden Disc at like 8:30 for it to open because I needed to know how that story ended. And I realised I'm going in to buy a vinyl. I'm going in to buy the CD. I'm going like to buy a piece of art that I can have on my shelf.
That's right.
And it tells a story, and that's the magic of it.
One of the things when I used to get an LP, this was way back when, but in the 70s, for example, I would just I wouldn't even get the LP out yet. I just want to look at the cover, look at all the photos, and look at the lyrics, and it was just a magical experience to buy an LP and then put it in some sort of like, you know, I had the Peaches crate because they had Peaches Records in St. Louis, so you had a Peach crate where you could put about 300 albums in, you know, put it in alphabetical order or whatever. So you had a little library, you know. It was a totally different thing than what we got now.
So I think we're in a very privileged position in Wexford Town to take it upon ourselves to do something like this. And I am throwing it down live on the air because I want to stick to this. I've had this thought a few times before, but then life gets too busy or you're too tired or something like that. So I'm doing this because I love reading and I love books, and
Yeah.
there's so much, like my to read list is so big now that like in my sitting room, which kind of looks like a bit of a library, there's more than one shelving unit with books I need to get to. I'm still halfway through the Foundation series by Asimov. That's probably where I stopped reading actually. And I've been dying to know what happens next for the last 2 years, and I haven't gone and done it. So
You have to take advantage of feelings
Yeah.
like that, I think.
this is what I'm saying, right? And I'm old enough and wise enough to know, but still I am a sucker in the same way that every other human being is a sucker. Eventually these systems that are around us can drag us in and
Yeah.
trap us, and I feel trapped, and this is me sharing this because I'm sure I'm not alone out there.
You're not alone. In fact, I'm going to read something from, it's actually from the 90s. There was a conversation that took place between the late David Foster Wallace and David Lipsky, who was with Rolling Stone magazine. And this was in 1996, decades before algorithmic feeds and AI and the rest. And this is an excerpt from that. Now, the conversation took place when Lipsky and David Foster Wallace were taking a 5-day road trip at the end of his Infinite Jest book tour. So Infinite Jest featured something called The Entertainment, a videotape so compelling people just watched it until they died. And so David Foster Wallace addressed the challenge head on. He said this: as the internet grows and as our ability to be linked up grows, we're going to reach a certain point. We're going to have to build up some machinery inside our guts to help us deal with all of this, because the technology is just going to get better and better and better and better, and it's going to get easier and easier and more convenient and more pleasurable to be alone with images on a screen given to us by people who do not love us but want our money, which is all right in low doses, right? But if that's the basic main staple of your diet, you're going to die. In a meaningful way, you're going to die. Now, David Lipsky asked him, but have you developed some defenses? And David Foster Wallace was very honest about this. He said no, but he said this is the great thing about it. It's probably each generation has different things that force the generation to grow up. Maybe for our grandparents, it was World War II. For us, it's going to be that. At a certain point, we're going to either have to put away childish things and discipline ourselves, but how much time do we spend being passively entertained, and how much time do we spend doing stuff that isn't all that much fun minute by minute, but it builds certain muscles to me as a grown-up and as a human being. And if we don't do that, then A, as individuals, we're going to die, and B, the culture is going to grind to a halt. So in summary here, what we're talking about, that was the stick, okay? You better change or you're going to die. Whereas we're talking about the carrot, where we're finding out that when we did this, we actually had a really, really huge growth experience, like a quantum leap sort of in our growth, discontinuous change or leap forward, you might say. And I've been through that too. And this is a metaphor for what we're talking about here, but I know it's exactly what you guys are talking about. Back in 1984, 85, I quit drinking completely. I've never had any mind-altering substance whatsoever since then, and I've really enjoyed my life and it's flourished. But I remember about 4 months after I did it, I was driving my car one day, and all of a sudden I said, oh my God, it's like I was looking out through the windshield of my car, and I said, oh, everything's in Panavision now.
You can see the sky.
I could see the sky, everything was wide angle, and like I didn't know this, but I just my perception had been like looking through a little blocky thing, and all of a sudden my mind was alive again in a way that it hadn't been for a really, really long time. And I think that's what we discover when we read books and when we go to the physical media and actually listen to a whole album. By the way, I'm not quite there with the physical media because I don't have any physical media players, but I do this. When I go on Spotify, for example, I don't say I'm just going to sit back and listen to what they tell me. I'm choosing an album to listen to.
Well, that's kind of the same thing, really.
It's the same thing, but I'm also feeding them my attention.
I think David Foster Wallace, holy God, that guy was such an interesting dude, and he really had it down what was going to happen, didn't he?
He did. Yep.
And just a little kind of a slight aside, a kind of something I discussed with you, Rory, as well, was a few weeks ago I went and intentionally started to play games again.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm going to be discussing on my show, Nerd Out with Nerd Up, this Saturday at 12 to 1. So it's similar to this, where we're talking kind of making time to play games, making time to listen to music, making time to do all these other things in a really busy world that we're, with a lot of difficulties with social media, trying to find the right balance, like David Foster Wallace was talking
And
about.
you have to make an effort.
You have to make an effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make intelligent choices. I think right now we're probably ready for another song. Not
I
like
think
crack
we are.
karaoke, but
Oh,
like
God.
a regular song. This